see if it plays out that way. I do agree that the dirt rune option was very interesting.
I mean, he does have to happen to play against this guy playing White Wolf, like one of the only remaining players with it, which is kind of rough for him. Oh, and it looks like TRICKSTER's Forestcraft got banned out.
Yeah,
wow.
Just banned it.
And he did ban Dirt Rune. Interesting. Okay, so essentially the decks we thought we were going to have to play against each other both got banned out.
Yeah, a slide turn of events, if you will. TRICKSTER's going to have to figure out how to stay composed.
He is. He's getting really riled up with his draws lately, I'll tell you that much. I mean, to be fair, these are not the draws that you're looking for. And this has kind of been the downfall of a lot of our good players today.
That's a very Star Wars statement of you to say.
What's that?
These are not the draws that you...
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's true. Not droids, but draws. That's right.
You can mulligan all the best cards.
That's right. Just look the other way, TRICKSTER. Just look the other way. Oh, okay. He's still got them all keeping a Prince Catacomb. He's playing against Dragoncraft. No.
No.
That's okay. Still against Dragoncraft. Prince Catacomb is the best option against the deck. It's one of the only ways you can kind of go around what they're trying to do.
Lots of early removal here from CRUMSION. That's going to give him some flexibility, and especially if he lands into ramp, he's going to very quickly be able to use enhanced Breath of the Salamanders.
That's right. That's kind of like the Voltron that is Dragoncraft, right? You've got your ramp, you've got your removal, and then you've got your end game. And then card draw is kind of like the mixture in between there. You kind of have to get a good mix of everything for Dragon to pull off. And if you do, it kind of beats everything. And if you don't, as we saw in a couple rounds on the European side, it can just fall flat and do absolutely nothing.
Oh, man.
And that's when we call it the affectionate term of Brick Dragon, because it literally is just a house of bricks that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah. Building houses it's a fine effort.
That's right. It's good for making money and you know, doing things in the real world. But when you're playing Shadowverse, not quite where you want to be at.
Okay. We've got a 1-drop, so that's kind of cool if you're going for that Catacomb play.
Yep, found a 1-drop. It's a very good option. I think TRICKSTER, you know what? In this fashion, I think TRICKSTER's just taking some time to calm his nerves. And that's more than appropriate for taking up that time right now. He just needs to relax, take some deep breaths, finish this match out.
Yeah. Pages out of Sheepy's book.
That's right.
For as much as we like to make fun of Sheepy for it, it is very important. As Himari stated,
Sheepy doesn't make a lot of mistakes when he plays, and I mean that's definitely a reason for it. And yeah, like you said, Himari even made a statement about it too. Maybe if I do that a little bit more often, I'd be making less play mistakes.
Yeah. It is very interesting to think about how you analyze the game and how you look at it, right? Sometimes it can end up hurting you. There is this very strange effect in Shadowverse that is about kind of taking calculated risks, right? I think a lot of players, especially if you play a control type deck, it's very easy to play too safe and actually end up going down the less optimal line.
It's always a risk. It's about knowing like a lot of information, right, to make the best possible plays more often than not. It's what can your opponent actually do to you next turn. Like, don't just be afraid of an Ektar always, you know what I mean? Like, for instance, when we watched Sheepy play a little bit early on the European side, he played around Ektar in the fact that he knew Ektar was 1 away from lethal, and then he presented a lethal 2 turns in a row, essentially, turn after turn, and then won the game because of it. So if you know how to play around your opponent's cards well, technically speaking, you can make really good educated guesses on how to get ahead every single turn. Now, I'm not going to say that you're always going to get perfect draws and you always have infinite, you know, plays you can make and things like that, but you can always consider. I mean, evolutions are probably the biggest thing in this game, and I don't think that even half of us use our evolutions correctly 100% of the time. And I mean, like, sorry, I misspoke. I don't think anyone uses their evolutions 100% of the time correctly, and maybe 50% of us use them well. Because honestly speaking, pre-evoing every single perfect opportunity and like evoing the right things every single time is just, it's tough to know because you don't have perfect information.
Yeah. It's one of the easiest ways to get ahead in a game.
What should I do?
What should you do? Here comes a turn. CRUMSION, rightfully so, being very careful about the decisions that he's making.
And unfortunately, yeah, this board is going to get swept under the rug before it even matters. However, the ramp is also going to get swept under the rug if he wants to clear this board. We'll see. He doesn't have an easy way to clear this Ayala.
Yeah. It's almost kind of feels not great to play the Andrew Alphas because you know it's just going to be taken down.
That's getting taken out for sure.
And this kind of hand, you really want some draw. I don't think you want to let yourself run dry.
Plus, you can't afford that Ayala surviving until the Evo turns. You can Evo over it on your turn, but, I mean, Evoing over something that only has one defense is probably not where you want to be at. Oh, wow. He's just going to pass. Hard pass into the Andrew Alphas and Lurching Corpse play next turn.
Hard pass.
Wow.
Crums is trying to hit Trickster up, and Trickster just says, no.
No. No, no.
No, no. No Shadowverse.
Now, I think the other Scyther is a fine play here. Essentially, just keeps board pressure, keeps you ahead.
Yeah. It's interesting. You're not getting ramp, but the hand is turning out to be great for your in terms of board control. I think a lot of that comes from the early Breath of the Salamander, right? So.
And then this begs into question, like, it might seem like Trickster's draw is kind of awkward and things like that, but it also comes down to his mulligan decisions. He chose to keep that Prince Catacomb being on the draw in his opening hand without knowing what the curve was going to be like before it. So, I mean, it comes down to very specific things like that.
Oh, Trickster taking the advanced position.
Interesting that he chose to do that before playing the other Scyther to possibly let the Ayala live, but apparently he doesn't care that much. Would rather keep the Scythers.
That's interesting. Okay. The Evolve is coming down. That's going to really help. I think you keep the rest of your Lurching Corpsei.
Yep, you gotta save them for later turns when they really come into play. Man, these Prince Catacombs have been looking so weak.
Yeah.
On the side of Trickster.
It is really interesting, like, spitting up a board that can actually stay. It almost feels like Prince Catacomb is rarely the on-curve play, you know what I mean?
Rarely. Like, it really comes, like, into the later turns, like on a turn 6 or a turn 7, when you already have something in play, and then you play something else, and then you Prince Catacomb and set up for the Ektar on the following turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, the turn 4 Prince Catacombs just have not been working out very well for people today.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you think about it, what is it, like a something that's a 1-2, maybe that'll survive. Then maybe a Bellness and then a Skull Ring and then the Catacomb, right? And that's pretty much your turns.
Well, the thing that I've been missing, and we talked about this a lot, we talk about the ebb and flow of Shadowcraft decks. And if they all wanted to play against these Dragoncraft decks and these Daria decks and things like that, like, I really miss more Attendant Knights. Like, it's another one of those cards that's really hard to deal with, that you can almost always Prince Catacomb afterwards. It generates a lot of value.
Yeah, your opponents generally do not want to mess with that.
Yeah, right, it's tough to. And it just presents tempo. Like, I'm surprised that a lot of these players are just going with the super value-heavy Shadowcraft decks these days and not going into the realm of even more value with things like Attendant Knight.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I mean, I play extremely high-value Shadowcraft, but I play everything from Grimnir as a one-of to... Like, I just like every option. If you're going to draw a million cards and you're going to go to turn 10, like, I want every option available to me. And I guarantee you, I will never be caught dead with a single deck in Shadowverse that's not Runecraft, because Runecraft is crazy, that does not have a ward in it, okay? Like, you need a ward every once in a while to not die. When you play a deck with no wards, I feel so unsafe.
Even Runecraft now is using things like Golem Assault and Mystery and Knowledge.
That's true.
So you do get the wards there.
That's true. I mean, think about how Forestcraft has been beating Dragoncraft decks, right? You just ward after ward after ward. Same thing against Aisha, whatever. If you're playing the Shadowcraft deck with Grimnir, you have the ward to stop that 10 damage from Aisha for a turn, and then they don't, and then you have Aisha on turn 10, and then you win the game.
Surprise. Now imagine if Grimnir did face damage.
No. We're not going to imagine that. That already happened once. I've won my fair share of games. I've won my fair share of games with Grimnir on when it did do face damage.
Could you imagine Grimnir face damage into an Aisha lethal on the next turn?
No, I don't ever want to imagine that, okay? Grimnir should have never done face damage. It got adjusted to not do face damage anymore.
I like it.
That card was a little too good.
Man. 4 damage to all opponents.
But yeah, I play a 1 of Grimnir and a 1 of Dark Blade Fiend in my Shadowcraft decks because I like wards. I like them a lot.
Yeah. Ward is the word. Okay, well, 9 cards in hand.
All right, here we go. The old 9 cards in hand can't do anything. Deck right here, Shadowcraft. There are quite a lot of things to do this time, though. There is Prince Catacomb setups for Ektars. Will it be enough, though? There's no tilting it.
Do it. I would just drop it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, his only other plan is he could Oracle, see what he draws. I think tilting's pretty safe this turn, though.
You already have a Sahak Will. You're fine.
It is pretty scary to tilting, though, because you're not really doing anything right after it. You don't know what you're going to draw. You're going into 8 play points. I don't know. Oracle's a little bit safer.
Do you feel safe enough with a Sahak Will, not necessarily an Israfil, but also a Breath of the Salamander?
I mean, Breath of the Salamander is good, but you have to contest a Prince Catacomb, which is kind of rough. I don't know. This would be a tough spot. Like I could see going either way.
Do you think you survive? I guess the question is, do you survive 3 turns from here?
I think so. I think you survive, but at what total? I'm not sure. Because
if you do, right, and the only thing that could really gun things up is if a lurching corpse comes down.
Right, and of course, I mean you'd expect to see them. You know what I mean? But realistically, it's just the options, right? Like, if I had an Israfil in my hand, I'd probably be much more apt to play the tilting at windmills.
Interesting.
Now, this is not a play I would have made.
Huh.
This is essentially saying I want to take no extra damage from Ektars, but with the amount of cards in Trickster's hand, I mean, I think Oracle is the safest play because it gets you the ramp, it gets you the card draw.
Yeah. The ramp is also very important, right? Because the ramp is the only way to make your tilting safer, right? Either through tilting pure-hearted or through some kind of Dreadseed tilting thing.
Yeah, plus using the Sahak before you get the Israfil means that your board clear options are a little bit worse from now on as well. Like, this doesn't set up a good next turn, what he just did, what CRUMSION did. Next turn doesn't feel any better than this turn. As a matter of fact, it feels worse because you don't have the Sahak anymore.
What are you hiding inside?
And this is where Catacomb starts making sense, right?
Yeah.
Not at 4, but on the later turns.
Wings are killing me.
Now I feel like an Israfil is going to come off the top.
Nope.
Okay.
Ugh.
That's interesting.
I guess you should just draw. Now you absolutely can't play the tilting.
No. So, yeah, I think it's Dragon Oracle first, see what you draw, and then Breath of the Salamander, and hopefully you draw something. I mean, realistically, you do have the Bahamut to clear the board, but a Lurching Corpse will come down and kind of block the Bahamut really doing anything.
So the Dreadsea can Dreadsea itself, which means
that it can't do.
It can't?
It cannot. It says any neutral card not Queen of the Dreadsea.
Interesting. I wonder why they did that.
So that if you played multiple in your deck, there's a cost. It's not just free.
But that would be cool.
That would be cool.
I guess it would provide its same effect, even though you have no cards in hand.
That's why. That's actually why.
It would be kind of weird.
That makes sense. The game would break. Right?
Yeah,
that's
like,
why.
Wait a minute. You know how you see the negative numbers if there's like a ginger?
Yeah.
It would just start going. Yeah. It would start putting letters in there.
Your leader would turn black and blue and
9 damage here. Could be 11. I don't think there's any point in doing that though.
No reason to evolve here. This will set up a good Bahamut play.
Oh.
I'm trying to think. What is the reason for evolving here? I don't know.
Salamander?
Oh, it puts CRUMSION to 5. It means that Aisha doesn't need the 10 shadows to actually win the game.
Also skirts around Salamander.
Yes, it does.
Very well.
Yep, so Bahamut will be the play here. I can't see a reason to do anything else. I guess realistically, it could be a Queen of the Dreadsea turn as well. This is a pretty good Queen of the Dreadsea turn. You can Queen of the Dreadsea into
Bahamut
and Sybil. Yep. So you can clear the board.
Make sure you play a Sybil after the Bahamut.
Yes. This is a good turn to get ahead if he wants to.
I kind of like that. If there's no immediate impact on the board, there's a lot that can draw to cause lethal, and it's going to be tough to remove the Sybil. Of course, you have Demon Eater Lurching Corpse, but again, that's using up a resource that is absolutely key in protecting you from things like Israfil and Bahamuts.
The other plan here is you play Bahamut, and then you're still stuck at 5, and then you can gain 6 on a following turn with a Sybil Draconic Fervor play to get you back above that 10 number. And you're giving away that option if you do Queen of the Dread Sea. So yeah, it looks like he's just going to go with the Bahamut here.
Okay. Okay. Probably. Ooh.
Kawe.
So that puts you back up to full. I think you just heal here, right?
I don't think it matters. I don't think heal's enough.
Because
you can go back up to 11, and then
you can evolve.
Oh yeah, you can evolve the Sybil. That's right.
I think that's your only play.
That is it. Got a double heal. Go up to 11, clear the board.
The nice part is you do draw 2 cards from your Draconic Fervor, but 20 health with no tilting installed. Man, if only I'd played tilting on 7. There's just no other turn to do it.
It's tough. In this matchup, it's really tough. You have to set it up in a very specific way, and realistically, Trickster doesn't have any, you know, shortage of cards in hand to just keep playing things.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. He needs to figure out a way to take down this Sybil. Looks like he is going to spend this combo of 2 cards.
This will work. And then he can follow up with the Skeleton Prince.
Yeah, this might be tough to remove. CRUMSION, backs to the wall. I think you kind of have to play out your options now. I don't think it even matters. The last word, you might not have enough flexibility to...
I mean, it all comes down to the earlier plays, too, like not having a Saha Quill as an option. I mean, he can play Fervor to draw, but again, that's not going to be enough immediately.
Do you Oracle first, or do you Fervor first?
Well, depends on what you think you're going to cast this turn. Honestly, let's see what his Queen of the Dreadsea play is. Queen of the Dreadsea plus Fervor plus Israfil can get him back up to 18, which is enough to survive.
Enough, yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's honestly the only play. There's no other play that will get you out of this situation.
But nothing can swing, right?
Nothing can swing, unfortunately, but yep, looks like that is the play that CRUMSION sees as well.
A bunch of tilting down the drain. Oh! Not that it really matters. If these cards survive, I think that is also nailed in the coffin for Trickster. There's an Ector in hand.
Honestly, whenever your opponent discards their hand to Queen of the Dreadsea, you just clean up the board and then you just kind of topple him over.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a tough spot for CRUMSION.
Yeah, I think Ektar will be the play this turn. You have a zombie party if you do need some extra damage to burn.
What is the maximal amount of damage you can set up over these next few turns?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't even matter about the damage you can deal. There's going to be followers left over on the side of Trickster.
So you throw your last word effects into any follower, and then you Ector?
I think actually you save them, and what you do is you throw the Demon Eater in so that you can have a board that's open enough to play the Ektar, and then yeah, I mean you use that in combination with Zombie Party. I guess you could do this too. This uses up less resources, but honestly, with 9 cards in your hand, it's not like you're ever gonna run out of resources.
Yeah.
But yeah, any which way you do this, honestly, it's not a big deal.
This head can be taken.
Okay. This means that the one skeleton can also swing 1 zombie into the Israfil, skeleton plus zombie into the Queen of the Dreadsea.
Like, essentially, this is the most efficient way to do it. Oh, he still used the zombie party anyway, so basically just dealt less damage this turn for no reason if he was going to use a zombie party, but...
Oh, wow. I don't think there's any way to clear the board, though.
No. And Aisha will be coming out next turn if a Sybil comes down. So Aisha will put him back to 17. There's more than 7 that will be left on board with an Aisha from hand, and that'll be it. Yep.
Trickster takes it. Man, you know, it was definitely a risk playing the tilting on 7.
It's
but he would have been able to slowly build the game back.
I still think when I look back at the play, I probably would have oracled because of the card draw and the ramp, because I still wouldn't have felt safe. Like, tilting at windmills isn't a great play unless you know you can finish the game with it, or if you know it has a bunch of options. There were no Isserfils in hand. There was a singular Bahamut. You know what I mean? It's not like there was this like crazy endgame path already built.
The way that I think about it, right? Once you put tilting down, it really is kind of pressing the question of, you know, turn after turn, can you just keep things like lurching corpses on the table? Especially when you have removal like Breath of the Salamander, it's easy enough to maybe just Dreadsea the Salamander and something else, right? Play the Salamander first, and then all of a sudden, you know, you can just, for example, swing of the Dreadsea, Salamander something, and then throw something else down, and all of a sudden you win, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the context of the board though was a little too scary for me. Like it was only 2 followers that were Prince Catacombed. But that means
can get really tricky really quick.
It can, because if you play the amulet, the tilting at windmills that turn, and then they do something like another Prince Catacomb or just fill up the board with a lurching corpse or something like that, you're not going to have any play except for, again, that Oracle for turn 8 into a Breath of the Salamander to clear a lot of that board. And then, I mean, then you can get into a Bahamut. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just draw more cards to see first. But that, like you said, that was probably one of the only turns he had to actually get the tilting into play. So that's a tough call. That's a tough call.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if I was playing, like, because I don't think this much when I actually play, I probably would have just played the tilting at windmills. But
the other thing to think about too, right? If you play the tilting there, you can still draw on the next turn to see if you fish out an Isserfil, and then the Sahaquil Isserfil opens up for you, which was something that was missing on that turn. I think that was probably the most critical.
I think throwing away the Sahaquil was the actual worst play he could have made that turn. I think tilting at windmills or Dragon Oracle were the better plays.
Yeah. Because that really lost him the option, like you said, and eventually when he did get the Isserfil, it was... You'd quite effectively given the circumstance, but if it was able to swing...
Yeah.
And then you get it back, and then you can do it again.
Against Dragoncraft, or against Shadowcraft specifically, if Sahaquil is not used with Isserfil or paired every single time, unless you're just winning the game outside of that, it's really just not the most effective use of the card. You need to be able to clear boards as much as you possibly can against Shadowcraft if you can't just beat them immediately. And especially with the amount of ramp that CRUMSION had, you know what I mean? Like, he was getting to the top tier of his draw pretty quickly. He just needed to execute a few more things a little better there.
It's going to be Dragon versus Daria. And that's going to make things real tough. I feel like Daria has been doing well.
Daria has been doing really well. Dragoncraft has not been doing too well today, but that goes on the back of the fact that our Dragoncraft players have not been drawing that much ramp.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people in chat are probably super happy about that. They're like, down with Dragon.
I don't know. I think they're equally split on Daria and Dragon.
That's fair, on like which one they hate more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. Chat, if you hate Dragon, 1. If you hate Daria, 2, in the chat. Go. Let us know.
If you love both of them, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
That's right. Yeah.
They're spamming random numbers now. Oh, I'll just speed it up.
All right, a lot of ramp for CRUMSION. He's got card draw and tilting at windmills. Probably all the options that you want to see.
Yeah. Give him a taste of that ramp. On the play, too. That can get really dangerous against Dragoncraft when it's just going with ramp.
Like I've said before, I still think that tilting at windmills Dragon is probably the best deck in the game. And especially when you're going first with Dragon Oracle, it seems... Yeah, it seems pretty ludicrous.
Probably just Oracle again, right?
I'd probably play the Singer here. See if I draw into a Fervor, and then maybe save the Oracle for card draw. Just because you have the tilting, you need the other cards to go along with it.
That's right.
And if you Oracle this turn, the ramp doesn't get you anywhere. Next turn it will.
There's a Singer.
Plus you open up yourself the opportunity for a Blazing Breath just to save yourself some damage.
That's true. Nice. Pulled out the Daria here. And there's not a lot of one-cost spells available. Into the Looking Glass is a very interesting addition.
Yeah, I like it. I like Into the Looking Glass. I've adopted it into my Daria decks, and it just feels really nice. Aha!
You got 2 of them.
Yes, he did. See? This is the reason why you draw those extra cards, and now he's just going to run away with it. He's got Fervor into Oracle to go all the way up to 10 next turn.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when Daria has a hard time. When you can play your Bahamut's before your opponent can Daria board, it gets pretty hard to win.
Yeah. That's going to be a lot of security.
Well, actually, he can't do that because the Fervor is not a Sybil, so he will have to overdraw. But, you know, maybe he doesn't care, honestly speaking. I don't know if I would care.
I don't think you care.
Oracle first and see if that card is a Sybil, and then if not, you just don't care and play the Fervor anyway.
Here comes a Sybil. Nope.
No, but that's technically the same thing because you don't actually
evolve.
You can evolve it. You're still gonna overdraw with the Fervor, I guess. Meh.
I think it's fine.
If I overdrew a Bahamut right now, I would be so angry with myself.
What's the best way to mitigate against that?
I'm just trying to think.
You have to play Oracle and Ayala?
Do you need to go to 10, I guess, is the real question. So, like, you could play Oracle. You could play Ayala. You wouldn't be overdrawing, and you'd still be ramping twice this turn. And then you can play something like a Scyther to clear out the Golem.
Yeah. Well, knowing what we know, I do think that you want to go to 10. I mean, not knowing what we know. I think, assuming what CRUMSION knows, in the worst case, there could be a Daria coming down, right? So building up to using the Bahamut right now is going to be a good benefit.
Alright, so is going to be okay with overdrawing 1 card, and that's pretty much like the best case scenario. I mean, unless you're just trying to give away too much.
Yeah. And the fact that Daria won't come down this turn is already going to mega speed boost CRUMSION.
Yeah, I think CRUMSION's fully ahead in this game. Yeah, getting to 10, Daria being at 5, it doesn't really matter what they can do. You have the answers to full boards, and if they don't do anything like we're about to see TRICKSTER do, then Tilting at Windmills can just come down, and then it's clearly over, in my mind.
Lots of Scythers here. That'll help the board control game plan. And a lot of healing in hand. Multiple Fervors. Still has draw. Has the ability to play the Tilting plus the Pure-Hearted Singer combo. In fact, that and the Scyther as well.
Yeah. And honestly speaking, I mean, it doesn't really matter what happens with this Blade Mage, because like you said, Scyther is an option. So you play the Tilting out with the Scyther. Clean board. Get it out there.
And then Bahamut becomes super dangerous.
Yeah, then you just start hitting home with all your big stuff. Now, realistically, there is only just the Bahamut in hand so far, and this next card will get overdrawn. So it's not like he has anything to extend this Tilting at Windmills into the end game just yet.
Yeah. Our only marker for how valuable that card is if CRUMSION has a bad poker face.
Right.
Oh.
Let's see.
Unfazed.
Yeah, unfazed.
Strong poker face, or it was some kind of drop-dead card?
Well, this makes it interesting. So this is the type of play, just playing the Chimera out there, makes it a little bit more unsafe to play the Tilting at Windmills. This is kind of like ops for a Bahamut play, but if you can force the Bahamut out before you actually play your Daria, you're in a better spot again. So whereas CRUMSION might have been ahead the whole time, these mid-game options that TRICKSTER chooses to employ might trick CRUMSION.
So probably the smarter thing is to double Scyther. Right? I don't know. Oh, okay.
That was pretty good.
Now you can feel comfortable doing whatever.
Yeah, you definitely have to Scyther at least one of these. Looks like he's going to go for both. And yeah, honestly, you don't even need Tilting in this matchup. You can just wait until they do a full board, and then you Bahamut them, and then you just keep doing it over and over again.
I mean, unless you're hitting multiple Blade Mages or Chimeras back-to-back, and even Chimeras against Dragoncraft is not quite enough. Once you run out of Evolution Orbs, you kind of skip turns, right?
Yeah.
You play Daria, and it's great you have this huge board, but against Dragon that can have so much impact out of hand.
I mean, essentially, it's the same game once you get to this point. Like, once Dragon gets to 10 against you when you're playing Daria, it's very similar to the whole mid-Shadowverse Dragoncraft matchup. It's about keeping the board clean. The only difference is there aren't any Prince Catacombs in Daria to actually save you against a board wipe.
Well, if there's many more blade... I think there's one more blade mage left, right? There's a bunch of enchanted swords alongside the blade mage.
Yeah, I think most of our players today are running 2, and some of them running 3. Not sure how many were in this list.
Yeah. Trickster needs to put it together. Whoever loses this is eliminated and takes 3rd place.
That's right.
2,500.
The winner, of course, goes to the loser's side of the grand finals, where they have to win twice.
Okay, he's just pushing damage.
This is about the best thing he can do, honestly.
Yep. Okay. Wow, he didn't play Daria?
This basically, he's forcing a board wipe now. Then he's going to play Daria. Hopefully get some damage off of that. Maybe even redraw into a Daria. You have to play a little bit slower paced when Dragon gets this far ahead, which seems weird. But you have to get the max value out of everything. Every burn spell. Every single time you can force them a Bahamut out of their hand. Things like that. You just got to take that advantage. And Trickster's really putting together a plan that can win this game, which it looked very unlikely from the start of this.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like the way he's just been able to use his blade mages and enchanted swords to threaten, keep CRUMSION from dropping the tilting. Oh, he's got a mystic ring.
I like it.
He's got a mystic ring.
I like it. He's one of those players that listens to me too. You play those 1 mystic rings in your deck.
Okay,
you're playing the
blast. Wind the blast. Nice.
All right, now we're going to see the Daria, and he's going to be hoping to pull, like you said, those blade mages with the enchanted swords.
There's only 1 blade mage left. The Last Blade Mage. A movie coming to your theaters.
The Last Blade Mage.
The Last Blade Mage.
Will he find his enchanted sword?
Ooh, that's pretty good.
I mean, the Daria is good. Everything else is kind of...
If it was another Chimera, I feel like that would have been much better.
Yeah. I mean, this is good for board fill, but again, he needs to find the damage because the boards are going to get taken care of.
Yeah.
No. The full title of that movie would be The Last Blade Mage Quest for the Enchanted Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Quest for the Enchanted Sword.
Yeah. That's a good movie. I'd watch that.
Starring Trickster.
That's right. Starring Trickster and his mortal enemy, CRUMSION. What would be the enemy of the Blade Mage, the Last Blade Mage? It would have to be a dragon, right? That would only make sense for this matchup.
Yeah.
It'd be a big evil dragon.
Yep.
All he does is sit in his cave and blow fire on your dreams.
Yeah. He flies around a bunch of windmills.
Yeah.
Where is the Israfil?
Doesn't exist.
Okay, roll the Daria again, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Do you play out your Conjure Guardian?
Yeah, I think you always play the Ward if you can. I honestly think he should probably play his Chimera too, get some damage on the Bahamut. And then re-roll, see what he gets. I mean, it's got to be somewhere close, right?
Last Blade
he's almost
Mage.
there.
10 cards left. Oh.
Okay, there's the sword, but still no Blade Mage.
But you can't give up the sword!
You can't give up the sword.
So he has to do this the old school way.
Yep, he does have to get the damage off of his Piercing Rune, so that's another something. Can't give that away either.
I mean, it's pretty close. What happens here? If you drop... You don't have Dreadsea. If you top deck Dreadsea, I think it's over, right?
Yeah. I mean, Conflagration plus Blazing Breath will allow the Bahamut to evolve and go face for 11 and be a 2-turn lethal, which is probably what I would go for because there's enough backup removal that I don't think you care. This also allows you to start with an Oracle to see what you draw first.
Is there any world where you just want to Fervor and do healing stuff?
I don't think so. I think you have to clear the board.
Interesting. Yeah.
Then I would 100% evolve this Bahamut right now. Now it opens it up to Piercing Rune.
That's not... Oh, God. Play the wards. All the wards just vomit them out.
Yeah, that is the safest play. At least one.
Oh, CRUMSION is nervous.
I'd be nervous too. I'd be like, I had this game locked up, and TRICKSTER is just doing everything he possibly can.
What? You're just gonna give away?
Well, he might have a third one. He might have a third sword.
It's got to be here.
Wait, he's got 4 cards left in his deck. Where's his last Blade Mage at, bro?
Maybe he's only playing 2 Blade Mages.
No,
maybe the last Blade Mage was in another person's list.
There it is.
Come on, come on! But he's got another piercing rune.
He's got the lethal sitting in hand.
It's exactly 10 play points.
Well, I mean, he's also got Magic Missile, which will work too.
Yeah, piercing rune and Magic Missile. So you need a heal.
And it's
you need
not.
a healing
Isserfil's not good enough here. Isserfil comes down and won't clear out the Daria because of the ward. I think TRICKSTER managed to get there against this dragon who ramped so fast. That's crazy.
Oh no.
Again, guys, I say this a lot, but this is another one of those games that you guys should rewatch on how you beat Dragon, because I guarantee you TRICKSTER is playing much differently than you usually play against Dragoncraft.
Oh no. What happens if you saw... No, you would... Oh, actually, no, the Blade Mage will end it.
TRICKSTER's got it in his sights. Yeah, he's looking for something. He's looking for something, but I don't think there's anything that can get him there.
He needs to do something alongside a heal.
Yeah, and without any heal this turn, it's just going to be over.
Yep. I think it is over. That's it. Multiple ways to approach lethal, either through Piercing Rune, Blade Mage, or Magic Missile. And that is going to mean TRICKSTER goes up for the rematch?
Rematch for the grand finals. So no double disaster finals. Found all the burn options at the I mean, he's going to.
The last Blade Mage.
He got to 2 cards left in his deck. So he's going to find all of his cards.
Oh my gosh. It wasn't even the Blade Mage and the Quest of the Sword, even though that would have been great. It was just the
close.
Piercing Rune and the Magic Missile.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a crazy cool game.
What? That's insane. What a way for that game to
That's
end.
one of those satisfying games when you're like, you know, I didn't have the best Daria draw. Now, realistically, he did Daria into Daria into Daria against Dragon, so he did do the best chain he possibly could, but he also played that game in such a way that it made him...
He was spacing out his resources like you were talking about. Yeah. Very, very well.